session where we are exercising all the very short answer type of questions. And today our target chapters are morphology of flowering plants, anatomy of flowering plants, cell the unit of life, cell cycle and cell division. On whole we are going to practice now. So the first question is about modification, root modifications. Root modifications mention how root is modified both in banyan tree and mangrove plants. In banyan tree, what is the root modification that we see? Prop roots or pillar roots is the root modification that we observe in the banyan tree. Okay, which is prop roots or pillar roots. Fine, right? This is the first basic difference that you have to evaluate. Mangrove plants will show what type of root modification. The roots in the mangrove plants are breathing roots, okay, so due to the or respiratory roots. These respiratory roots are also known as nematophores. Respiratory roots or nematophores. So here you see the roots which are modified into prop or pillar roots. Here these are breathing roots or respiratory roots, and then they function to provide mainly mechanical support to the plant. Okay, this provides mechanical plant. Whereas mangrove plants will give what? Mangrove plants will help in absorption of oxygen from their boiling point, the waterlogged soil conditions. Fine, right? Next you observe, next question. Whenever two characteristics are asked in the question, it is always advisable to go with tabulated form of answer explanation. What type of specialized roots are found in epiphytic plants? What are the specialized type of roots that are found in epiphytic plants? What is their function? First is clinging roots. Clinging roots, they will help to particular epiphyte firmly on the host stem. Okay, the epiphyte clinging roots will help to fix the epiphyte firmly on the host stem. Second is velamen roots. Velamen roots will absorb moisture from the atmosphere in and around the epiphyte. Whichever moisture and atmosphere is there, that is being absorbed by velamen roots. Okay, this is about clinging roots and velamen roots. Then what is meant by pulvinous leaf base in the members of which angiospermic family do you find them? Okay, what is pulvinous leaf base? In which family do you see it? Pulvinous leaf base is the swollen petiole. Okay, swollen base of the petiole or leaf stalk. Swollen base of the petiole or the leaf stalk, that is addressed as pulvinous leaf base. Pulvinous leaf base is identified in what family? Leguminosae or Fabaceae family. Okay, Leguminosae or Fabaceae family, you can see this type of pulvinous leaf base. Example you can observe is Mimosa pudica is the example, which is taxonomically plant. Next is define venation. How do dicots differ from that of monocots? How dicot leaves differ from that of monocot leaves? How they both are different from each other? Dicot leaves will have reticulate venation, whereas monocot leaves will have parallel venation. Amongst reticulate venation and parallel venation, which is most advanced? Parallel venation is most advanced type when compared to the reticulate venation. Fine, right? Example is example for dicot example for dicot leaves. You can see hibiscus and the monocot leaf, mosa grass. Next question. Which organ is modified to trap insects? In insectivorous plants, give two examples. Okay, give two examples for insectivorous plant. We know two examples, two most major examples that we can see. First is in Nepenthes, that is pitcher plant, and next in Dionaea, Venus flytrap. In Nepenthes, commonly known as pitcher plant, where the leaf lamina is modified into a pitcher with a lid to trap the insects. Second is Dionaea or Venus flytrap, These leaves are modified into lobes with sensitive hairs. They are modified into lobes with sensitive hairs that close when they are touched. These modifications to supplement nitrogen in nutrient poor soils. They will supplement nitrogen to nutrient poor soils. Clear? This is about insectivorous plants which will trap the insects and they will digest the insects for nitrogen requirement. Fine.
Yeah, how do you decide?
These are what? Nepenthes and pitcher plant Venus flytrap. These are the two major examples for insectivorous plants. Next you see, differentiate between racemose inflorescence and cymose inflorescence. Racemose inflorescence, here peduncle will show indefinite growth. Okay, racemose inflorescence, peduncle will show indefinite growth. In cymose inflorescence, peduncle, what is peduncle ma? This is the common stalk, common floral stalk is called as peduncle. Peduncle will hold the pedicels. Peduncle will hold many pedicels. Peduncle will hold many pedicels. The common floral stalk is called as peduncle. Single peduncle will hold many pedicels. Peduncle will show indefinite growth. This continues to elongate. In cymose inflorescence, peduncle will show definite growth. This growth is terminated by a flower. Okay, here it is definite and here it is indefinite growth. Younger flowers are arranged in the acropetal order. That is, older flowers will be at the base and younger flowers will be at the top. Next, here flowers are arranged in the basipetal order, where younger flowers will be at the base and older flowers will be at the top. Here flowers open in the centripetal sequence. Okay, they open in centripetal sequence, where older flowers towards periphery and younger flowers at the center. Here flowers open in centrifugal fashion. That is in centrifugal sequence, where older flowers are towards center and younger flowers will be towards peripheral end. Racemose inflorescence examples include Crotalaria, Mangifera and mustard.
Tell me.
Cymose inflorescence examples include Datura, Bougainvillea and Jasmine. These are the examples of cymose inflorescence. Next. What is the morphology of cup-like structure in Cyathium? In which family is it found? In which family is it found? Cyathium is what? This is the cup-like structure that is formed by involucre of bracts. This is formed by involucre of bracts. Fine. Which leads to fuse together. Okay. They are fused together at the base. The structure will enclose a single female flower surrounded by many male flowers, which is having a reduced single stamen, reduced to a single stamen. This is characteristic inflorescence. Cyathium is the characteristic inflorescence to which family? Euphorbiaceae family. All these examples are important for your objective also, both for your NEET and MSET. Look into each example, each type of inflorescence, type in molecules and families with utmost care. Example,
I will tell you trick
for yeah. Next question, differentiate between actinomorphic flower from zygomorphic flower. Actinomorphic flower is nothing but this is the flower that can be divided into two equal halves. Flower is divided into two equal halves by a vertical plane which is passing through the center. Zygomorphic flower, here the flower that can be divided into two equal halves. This can be divided into two equal halves by one specific vertical plane. This exhibits radial symmetry which is regular. Actinomorphic flower or zygomorphic flower will exhibit bilateral symmetry. Okay. Next, examples under here. If it is China rose which is hibiscus, Datura and mustard, zygomorphic flower, pea, beans and gulmour. These are the examples for zygomorphic flower which is
N2
bilateral symmetry. Next,
what electron is becoming 50?
Epipetalous condition. Epipetalous condition,
it is a
characteristic feature
3 bond
Solanaceae members. For Solanaceae members,
bonds effect.
Characteristic feature. What is condition? Epipetalis condition is the
minus
condition of androecium with petals. Okay, addition of
like this you can remember. Okay, so what table if you have
petals. Fine.
it will
This is what epipetalis condition observed in Solanaceae members. Stamens are attached to petals. This feature is commonly observed in the plants where petals and stamens arise from the same word. Epipetalis condition is characteristic to Solanaceae family. Example,
So it is-
example you can take is brinjal. Brinjal is also an example for epicalyx condition. Brinjal is also an example for epicalyx condition. Remember, the persistent calyx even after fertilization, even after fruit formation, which is epicalyx condition. Epipetalis and epicalyx, two different features observed in the same plant, that is brinjal, which belongs to Solanaceae family. Fine. Next, define placentation. What type of placentation is found in Dianthus? What type of placentation is observed? Placentation is defined as arrangement of ovules
but there are two
in a
questions.
single ovary. What is placentation? Arrangement of ovules
For one mark question there is
of ovary is known as placentation. As such, we have four different types.
please watch chemical bonding sessions
Vaginal placentation,
CB.
axial placentation,
and one more thing
placentation, free central placentation and basal placentation. These are 5 different types of placentation.
7 and 7
Important for your short answer type question, important for MSET, important for NEET. Remember that. So here different types of placentations are seen in all the types we have discussed just now. In Dianthus, the placentation is free central. Dianthus placentation is free central, where ovules are attached to the central axis. Ovules are attached to free central axis. Example is Dianthus. This type occurs in unilocular ovary without any septum. This type occurs in unilocular ovary without having any septum. Next question.
when I write you like
Name any two plants having single seeded dry fruits. Any two plants with single seeded dry fruits. First is dry indehiscent fruits. Dry indehiscent fruits which are usually single seeded. Dry indehiscent fruits which are usually single seeded, as they do not
to anti-bonding.
at material.
So this is bonding
Rice, that is oryza. Single seeded dry fruit is what? Caryopsis. Is a caryopsis where seed coat is fused along with the fruit wall. Seed coat is fused along with fruit wall. In a cashew, the single seeded dry fruit is a nut.
One take it as
It will be with hard carp enclosing the seed completely. In Tridax, fruit is cypsilla.
redax is as written
It's what type of
is sigma bond.
This is typical for Asteraceae family. Two single seeded dry fruits. Complete fruit classification. Fleshy fruits, dry fruit. Dry dehiscent fruit, dry indehiscent fruits.
Pi star
Much important. With examples you have to learn. Okay.
pi star
Carp. Define mericarp. What do you find? In which plant do you find it?
electron
A mericarp is single seeded segment which is formed when schizocarp dry fruit splits. When a single schizocarp dry fruit splits, it forms short segments. Each is addressed as a mericarp. Okay, each segment is addressed as a mericarp. Each mericarp will again behave like what? Dry into fruit. Each mericarp, each individual mericarp will behave like a dry indehiscent fruit. Examples of plants with mericarp includes what? Acacia and castor. Examples of plants with mericarps include acacia and castor. Fine. Clear till here, ma? And then name a plant that has single fruit developing from entire inflorescence. What is such fruit called as? Okay, single fruit developed from entire inflorescence.
what
Sometimes entire inflorescence
Here.
develops into a single fruit.
two here.
Such fruits are known as
do not
composite fruits or multiple fruits
maximum
from entire inflorescence. One complete inflorescence will give rise to a single fruit. Such type of fruits are addressed as what, ma? Composite fruits or multiple fruits. Examples are important again. See, in pineapple, that is Anas sativus, flowers of spike inflorescence, they will fuse together to form a single fruit. In jackfruit, that is artocarpus, each flower will contribute to the development of the composite fruit. Each flower is required. Each flower will contribute for the development of composite fruit. Fine, right? Next chapter will be our modes of reproduction. Modes of reproduction. What is meant by heterospory? What is meant by heterospory? Mention two types of spores developed from angiospermic plant. First, heterospory is a phenomena where a single plant will end rise to two.
What is the bond order? 3
and megaspore. When two different types of spores are formed from a single plant, that is the condition of heterospory, where a single spore produces two different kinds of spores. In angiosperms, microspores are formed inside what? Microsporangium of stamens. We have learned clearly the structure of microsporangium, inside which microspores are formed under the concept of microsporogenesis. Next is megaspores. These are produced inside what? Megasporangia of carpels, and they develop to what? Female gametophytes. They develop to female gametophytes, which is embryo sac. Next. Mention the modes of reproduction in algae and fungi. Modes of reproduction here. First, vegetative reproduction. Here you see, it occurs by simple body fragmentation. Vegetative reproduction occurs by simple body fragmentation or by specialized structures. Examples you see, Spirogyra by fragmentation, and in Rhizopus, which belongs to Zygomycetes class of the fungus. Zygomycetes class of fungus. This is also by what? Fragmentation. Asexual reproduction takes place through formation of different types of spores. Examples here you see, Chlamydomonas, where motile zoospores are present in algae. Rhizopus, non-motile sporangiospores are present for asexual reproduction. Penicillium, where conidia is the asexual spore. Amongst this, sporangiospores, conidia and zoospores, which is motile and which are non-motile. Zoospores are motile and the rest two are non-motile. Which is endogenously produced and which is exogenously produced? Exogenously produced spores are conidia. Conidia is exogenously released spores. And sporangiospores are endogenously released spores. Clear? Next, sexual reproduction involves gametic fusion, and the gametes can be similar in their morphology and physiology, like how you see it in isogamy, and they can be dissimilar in morphology and physiology, like how you can see in anisogamy and in oogamy, where a single motile male gamete fuses with large non-motile female gamete, which is oogamous. Fine, right? Three types of gametic fusion is possible, which is resulting in a diploid zygote. Diploid zygote is formed. This is seen both in algae and fungi. Fine, right? And then, how do liverworts reproduce vegetatively? Liverworts, which are primitive bryophytes. These are primitive bryophytes which reproduce vegetatively by means of specialized structure. This is by means of specialized structures. Those specialized structures are called as gyma. Gyma are formed in gyma cups. Gyma cups, which are found in Markantia. Gyma are small, green, multicellular, asexual buds. They develop inside the cup-like structures like gyma cups. These gyma cups are formed on the dorsal surface of the thallus. Gyma cups are formed on the dorsal surface of the thallus. over which surface Gemma cups are found. Important again, over the dorsal surface. When the Gemma cups or Gemma is detached from the parent thallus, Gemma is dispersed into the water columns, and when it lands on the suitable substratum, they will germinate into a new individual. This is the story of what? Gemma cups, vegetative reproduction in Marchantia. Next, why do we refer to offsprings? Why do we refer to offsprings formed by asexual method of reproduction as code? Offsprings produced from a single parent without any fusion, okay, those are called as clones. Since there is no reductional division or no meiosis, okay, the genetic material of the progeny will be same as that of parents, hence offspring is termed as clone, which is genetically and morphologically identical to that of parent. Fine, right? Because here nowhere the gametic fusion is involved. Next, okay, the following events of sexual reproduction, okay, in sequence in which they occur in flowering plants, where embryogenesis, fertilization, gametogenesis and pollination occur. The correct sequence is: first, through pollination, male gametes will reach the female gamete. Pollination in angiosperms can be abiotic, can be through abiotic agents or biotic agents. After pollination, the second event that occurs is gametogenesis, that is gamete formation, followed by fertilization, that is gametic fusion, and then zygote formation, followed by embryo. Will be the sequence. The sequence will be as follows: pollination, then gametogenesis, fertilization and embryogenesis. This order will ensure the transfer of pollen, followed by gamete formation, fusion of gametes, zygote formation and then development of the embryo. Clear till here? Any doubt anywhere? And then, what do the following parts of flower develop into after fertilization? Ovary develops into fruit. After post fertilization, what? Ovary develops into fruit. Stamens will wither and they will fall off. Ovules develop into seeds. Calyx usually withers and fades off, but may persistent only in some plants. Calyx remains persistent only in some plants. In whichever plant it is persistent, it is addressed as epicalyx. Epicalyx usually observed in Solanaceae member, that is brinjal. Fine, clear? So this ends up the very short answer type of questions from modes of reproduction. Now we will move into the sexual reproduction of flowering plants. Sexual reproduction of flowering plants. First, name the component cell of the egg cells of egg apparatus in the embryo sac. Egg apparatus is found in the embryo sac, which is towards the micropylar end, and there are 3 cells in the egg apparatus. 2 cells will be synergids which are also having filiform apparatus to guide the entry of pollen tube. Next will be the egg cell. So egg cell along with filiform apparatus. This is egg cell along with filiform apparatus is addressed or termed as what? Egg apparatus inside the embryo sac. Next, name the common functions that cotyledons and nucellus perform. What are the common functions that cotyledons and nucellus perform? Cotyledons are addressed as embryonic leaves during the time of seed germination, and nucellus is also the storehouse of the nutrition, where the storage food is present inside the nucellus cells, which helps the cell during the embryo sac formation, and nucellus will also provide the nutrition during the time of fertilization and post fertilization events also. So both cotyledons and nucellus cells, they are common in the function of nourishment. Okay, so cotyledons later nourish developing seedlings. Nucellus will supply food to the developing embryo sac. Clear? Next question you look into. In case of polyembryony, if an embryo develops from the synergid and another develops from the nucellus, which is haploid, which is diploid. Okay, one is developed from the synergid and other is developed from the nucellus. Now the question is, amongst these two embryos, which will be haploid and which will be diploid? The question is very obvious and the answer is also very obvious here. Wherein synergid, which is haploid, right? Because it is a cell of the embryo sac, haploid. Synergid cell is haploid. So this undergoing mitotic division will give rise to embryo, which is a haploid embryo. The embryo will be haploid. Whichever embryo develops from the synergid, haploid synergid, will form a haploid embryo. Next is nucellus.
0. Okay. So now isothermal expansion of 1 mole of
nucellus will be diploid because
volume to final
is the nourishing tissue which is nourishing the embryo sac. Fine, right? One of the
reversible isothermal
excited into what is the mother cell, which is diploid. So a diploid nucellus.
Next, free expansion. See,
a diploid embryo. Clear with haploid embryo and diploid embryo? Done. Next, which is the triploid tissue? Which is the triploid tissue in a fertilized ovule? If the tissue which is the triploid tissue in a fertilized ovule? How is the triploid condition achieved? How is this triploid condition achieved? The end form. So is the triploid.
You can write.
Formed inside the fertilized ovule of the angiosperm. Okay, endosperm is formed inside the fertilized ovule of the angiosperm. This triploid condition will result from triple fusion. Triploid condition is resulting from triple fusion, where two haploid polar nuclei
DQ
cell will fuse with haploid nucleus of the second
isothermal.
Okay. Next. Can an unfertilized apomictic embryo sac give rise to diploid embryo? Yes. Okay. An unfertilized apomictic embryo sac which is in diploid condition, this rise to.
Okay. Now up to here it is clear. So see,
this happens when diploid egg cell
process
without meiotic dip directly develops into the embryo sac. Okay, this directly develops into embryo sac and form
options also.
And this is a form of apomixis, where unfertilized embryo sac will be giving rise to a diploid embryo. Next, taxonomy of angiosperms from omega taxonomy. What is omega taxonomy?
Be 0.
It is omega taxonomy. Omega taxonomy will use the information from embryology, cytology, phytochemistry along with phylogenetic data. This follows some multidisciplinary approach for plant classification. Okay, this helps in proper understanding of evolutionary relationships between the organisms. This is about omega taxonomy. What is the natural system of plant classification? Name the scientists who followed natural system of plant classification. Natural system of plant classification, here you see. Proponents of the system of classification are, who are the proponents? Bentham and Hooker. These are the proponents of natural system of classification. It gives plants based on their natural relationships, considering the characters like morphology, anatomy, cytology and physiology. Floral characters are given more importance here than the vegetative characters. Next, what is geocarpy? Name the plant which exhibits the phenomenon. Last two questions of today's session. Geocarpy is nothing but the phenomena where fruits develop inside the soil. Best example is our Arachis hypogea, which is groundnut. Next, name the type of pollination mechanism in members of Fabaceae. Okay, mostly Fabaceae members will have what type of pollination? They will be having entomophilous, which is pollinated by biotic agent, and that is by insect. Okay, this process involves special piston mechanism.
You are taking it.
Mechanism is due to having what? Papillonaceous corolla, that is tubular corolla. Papillonaceous tubular corolla. It is having what mechanism? Special piston mechanism is observed. So with this, today's IPE questions of very short answer type of questions are done. We will come up with the next set of questions, cell biology in detail, in our next class, right?